How can the study of physical characteristics of gases improve like safety of driving?
Well, in terms of tire pressure, well, it's important to have your tires at the proper pressure for a number of reasons. Number one is safety, obviously. The car's going to handle it as well as possible with the correct air pressure in it. If it's too high, it's going to bounce up and down too much. It'll feel unstable. If it's too low, it can cause tire failure. It's also important for gas mileage, for your fuel economy, to have it at the proper pressure.
What is a safe tire pressure for cars?
It depends. It's all stated by the manufacturer in their owner's manual. It'll differ.
Okay. And do appropriate tire pressures vary by the conditions in which you live, like temperature or altitude?
Absolutely. If you go to high altitude and you have a bag of potato chips, where at sea level here it looks normal, you go to a higher altitude, all of a sudden it balloons up and you have like a helium balloon effect because of the pressure inside differentiates between the altitude that you're in. The same is true of tire pressure. It'll differ if you go up too high or too low, and you need to adjust it accordingly. Somebody in Denver is going to have a little bit different experience at the same air pressure as somebody at sea level would have.
So how do you deal with, let's say you're driving from like Denver to like LA. So how do you deal with the change in pressure during that time?
I would just check it once you got down to, if you're in the Rocky Mountains, you could go as high as 14, 15,000 feet. Driving a car, and you probably want to recheck it once you get down to a lower level, around 6,000. Maybe even check it once you get down to sea level, because it will change. Nobody does it, but you should do it.
On a similar note, why do car tires become slightly flatter in the winter or like expand in the summer?
Hotter temperature, it tends to expand the molecule. Most cars, you're going to have oxygen molecules inside, and it'll tend to expand it. Whereas conversely, during the winter months, it lessens the pressure inside the tire.
What are precautions that you can take to avoid the fluctuations caused by temperature from having a negative effect?
Most newer cars have what we call TPMS sensors in them, tire pressure monitoring systems, so they do it automatically for you for the most part. They'll tell you if it's too high or too low, so you can go back and adjust it accordingly. If it's an older car, anything before about 2004, the only best advice is to check it every 2 or 3 weeks. Stop by a tire store like ours and just have it checked. It takes a few minutes. Because all tires, for the most part, if they have oxygen in it, are going to lose air pressure over time. A lot of the newer tires, they come with nitrogen in them. Like if you go to Costco, they have nitrogen. It's a bigger molecule. It doesn't diffuse through the tires easily.
To your knowledge, do people actually come in and check every 3 weeks, or is that something that...
Yeah, some people do.
Okay. And what's the importance of making sure that the tire has the correct pressure?
Well, again, it goes back to the initial question: safety, fuel economy, tire wear. If a tire is too high or too low, it's not going to wear as well.
You said oxygen is the main gas you put into the tire. Is it a mix of other gases or just pure oxygen?
Straight air, just what you breathe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like I say, a lot of tire shops are going to the nitrogen fill, which has its advantages, but it costs more. And this particular store doesn't have it yet.